More news on the Antony transfer saga yesterday. Ajax turning down a €90 million offer, around £76 million. The player has done an interview as well, reiterating his desire to leave. What do you think of the latest developments, Paul?
Well, you expect him to want to leave Ajax to come to Manchester United. Of course you would. The manager's done it. A couple of players have done it. I think you have to ignore the money these days. I just think the money is ridiculous for every single player. Now, he looks a talented player, and we could all sit here and say it's probably a little bit too much for him. But as I said, the money's just crazy these days, and it's stopping players from moving.
Can you ignore that sort of fee, though? They're talking about wanting €100 million.
Well, listen, it breaks the record, I think, from the Dutch League to the Premier League for this young player. Talented player, no doubt, potential. And if you look at it from a player's perspective, I'd be sitting there and saying, like, well, it should be ticking all the right boxes for Ajax in terms of the money, the size of the transfer fee, and then what recruitment they can go and bolster their squad with that money. And he's given them a couple of good years there, won things as well. And you'd think, as a player, I'd sit there and go, well, you'd like to think that they'd do the right thing and let me go at that point. So I understand why as a player he's done the interview with Fabrizio Romano and broke it that way, because he's frustrated. But there's a few more days of the clock's ticking, and I'm sure he won't take his eyes off that clock.
I think the only difference is Champions League football, isn't it? Do you want to play Champions League football for Ajax, who realistically probably won't win it, or do you want to come to Manchester United, a massive club, and play Europa League football? Look, it's a no-brainer.
Everyone wants to play ammonia, don't they?
Of course they do, yeah. That's an illness, isn't it?
You know what my worry is, though, is United look desperate. I think it's like with the De Jong situation over the course of the summer. The transfer targets that haven't come, it's getting closer and closer, and it's obvious that United need players. That Ajax are rubbing their hands. I think top European clubs or European clubs with good young players now, when Man United come calling, they must be rubbing their hands. They go, right, charge 100 million.
But that's the way that it is now for Man United. Because they haven't got Champions League, there has to be another way of enticing players at the moment. Financials is the only way. And they've got to play top dollar above everybody else because of that reason. Normally you come to Manchester United because Champions League football with history and the opportunity to win. Well, two of those are out of the equation.
But Ajax have got in already about €100 million in fees this summer, so they're probably thinking they're not in a position where they have to sell. Yeah. So will they see it like they can just take advantage of this situation?
Of course, and they'll take advantage of any club who wants to come in. We've seen it all over. We've seen it with Chelsea playing over the odds with players. Now, I feel a bit for the lad, because the lad obviously wants to come to Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. He's at a good club in Ajax, don't get me wrong, but this is where... This is the real club. This is a proper football club where he'll be seen around the world. He's got great skills, and it's a player that obviously the manager likes. He's had him, so I do feel a little bit sorry for the player, but look, we'll see what happens.
And we just spoke to Ten Hag. He speaks very well. Do the club just have to back him and give him the players that he wants? And this is the player he wants to get, whatever the cost.
Well, I think they've done that all summer in terms of De Jong. As you mentioned, that's dragged on all summer because that's a player he's identified and he wants. And he spoke there and he mentioned it again, team. He wants to build a team that is recognisable to him and that suits his character and personality. And this player, he sees that as one of those players that can carry that out for him. And that right wing position, I know Jadon Sancho's there now, but most of our wingers seem better on the left-hand side at the moment, and I think that's an area of concern maybe for him. But listen, at the end of the day, what will be. Ajax don't really need to sell. I don't think they're under any financial pressure to do that. Man United are going to have to go above and beyond what they first expected to pay.
Is he worth it, Peter? He's got all the skills. What would you pay? I
like him as a player. I agree with Scholes. I think it's a bit harsh when you judge players on the amount of money these days. It's a lot of money, definitely, but I think he's got loads of ability. The fans will love him. He's a bundle of tricks. They'll open things up, and I think they have bought well. Casemiro again is a natural-born winner, and Antony will give him that something different.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
The one thing I would say, Lindsay, is he good enough? I don't think he scored that many goals even in the Dutch League and made that many assists in the Dutch League.
He had 8 goals, 4 assists last season in the league.
It's not a lot in the Dutch League. It'll be a lot harder over here.
And we've seen other players before do very well in the Dutch League, and that hasn't translated to the Premier League as well.
Exactly. Well, the Dutch League is a much easier league than over here. We've seen that he'll be tested here properly if he comes over here.